Well, today we are continuing with our Winter Weather Awareness Week, with it being the last day of the week. So hopefully after today you feel like you have brushed up enough on your knowledge and we are prepared enough ahead of this upcoming winter season. We've talked everything about winter weather alerts, how to prepare your home, your car for any winter weather, and how to stay safe in extreme cold. And now, today we're going to be kind of talking about the different types of winter weather that we can see here in Western Mass and how to stay safe in icy conditions. So first, let's talk about the different types of winter weather. So something that's really interesting is that high up in the sky, it's always cold and cold enough for snow. But then when we encounter a warm layer in the atmosphere, that's when those snowflakes melt and become raindrops. So all year long, including sometimes in the wintertime, we are looking at a very cold air mass very high up in the sky. So all precip is starting off like this, and then it melts into a raindrop when it encounters that large warm layer in the atmosphere coming down in the form of rain. But when we see freezing rain, which is actually one of the more dangerous types of weather because it can lead to very icy conditions, we're seeing that cold air high up in the sky, and then it encounters a pretty large warm layer in the atmosphere, so those snowflakes melt into raindrops, and then a very thin cold layer right at the ground level, so those raindrops freeze on contact, and it ends up making an icy glaze over everything. You'll notice sometimes your car is completely covered in it. The sidewalks and the roads are completely covered in that icy glaze when we are dealing with freezing rain. In terms of sleet, those are ice pellets. So we have that cold air up aloft, then those snowflakes become raindrops when it encounters that warm layer, but that warm layer is not that big. Then it encounters another layer of cold air all the way back down to the surface. So those raindrops then refreeze and become ice pellets. And then of course too, when the entire column of air is cold enough to support snow, it's snow from start to finish all the way down to the ground level. So there's all different types of winter precip, and it actually does make it a little bit more challenging sometimes to forecast accumulations when we're forecasting snow, but we are factoring in the chance for freezing rain or sleet. Now, some analogy that we like to use, especially when we're talking to the kids at school visits, is telling the difference between what freezing rain and sleet is. Freezing rain usually gives that icy glaze over everything. So think of a glazed donut. Everything is completely sheeted in ice, and when it comes to road conditions, it's very dangerous with that slippery condition. Then as we take a look at sleet, we think of a little bit of a sprinkled donut because there are more ice pellets in nature. So when it comes to driving on the road and you're encountering sleet or freezing rain, sleet is those ice pellets, so you can somewhat get some traction. It's kind of like driving in snow. Of course, still very slick, but when it comes to freezing rain, that's absolutely the most dangerous, especially on untreated roads. The road just becomes a complete sheet of ice. So something you'll have to keep in mind. Try to avoid those untreated areas. When you're walking on ice, or when we're trying to just be safe from ice in general, making sure that we are salting walkways, salting the driveways, so that way any of those icy layers can have a chance to melt. And also make sure that we're walking on treated or non-icy surfaces as well to prevent slip and falls. And then as we take a look at your footwear, you should definitely be wearing the proper footwear with rubber treads and making sure you're taking it slow with short steps. That way you're not falling on the icy conditions and you can react a little bit quicker. So, of course, we're not expecting any of this winter weather anytime soon, but you know, it is the end of October and we're approaching November and we know what comes next. So this is the time that we're taking to making sure that we're brushing up on our winter weather knowledge and making sure we're prepared ahead of that season.